What's up, guys? The rise and rise of Bitcoin. I got some new stuff today. I'll explain that later. Silver stackers, if you know, you know. This is all new stuff. Constitutional half ounces. Remember, I told you about if you can get half ounces at the same price. I'll explain that later. But yeah, we got the bank accounts here, the treasurer and the ledger. We got our passwords right here. Let's go, Brandon. We know who he is. We love Bitcoin, and we love the real money and the decentralized assets. We love this man right here, George Washington. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have this country, and we love this country. All right. So the rise and rise of Bitcoin. So what you're getting ready to watch are two brothers. One that's actually doing the Bitcoin. He's a miner and all into Bitcoin, and the other one's kind of like a film. He's filming it. I don't think they show him too much, but they came together. And this is the early days of Bitcoin. This came out on April 2014. And as you know, Bitcoin started on January 3rd, 2009 officially. But the actual white paper of Bitcoin, which means it gives you the diagram of what it is and stuff like that, came out Halloween night 2008. And it was made. Bitcoin was created because of the recession and the great housing crash and stuff like that. We all know that story. But some of you guys get confused about Bitcoin. For me personally, I don't buy Bitcoin to trade it in for cash. I've heard people say that, and I got a comment about that. I use Bitcoin for my future digital money, just like people are doing already. I don't buy it to turn it into cash. I have absolutely no intention of doing that whatsoever. I am using my Bitcoin so I can keep it on these as my bank. And then I'm going to be using it on my phone in about, 8 to 10 years or whatever. And I'm going to be using those Satoshis because remember, it's 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. Yeah, 100 million Satoshis for every Bitcoin. I buy 100,000 Satoshis every day. I bought some this morning. And I'm using that for a future transaction because it can't be duplicated, it can't be printed, and it can't be inflated. And it's the hardest money in the world. And I'll explain that later. But yeah, the rise and rise of Bitcoin, we're going to see how Bitcoin kind of first started and what they went through and where it's and knowing where it's at today, because the prices is 20 something thousand, down from 69,000. It was at 64,000. Just know what it is now, and look what these guys had to go through. This is why I fight so hard for Bitcoin. So without further ado, the rise and rise of Bitcoin, part one.
Some of my passwords.
I used to have a shirt in high school that said, "Technology must be used to liberate the individual." And I didn't really know what it meant for years because I didn't really think about it. But today I look back and I'm like, oh man, hell yeah, I like that shirt. I'm glad I wore that shirt because it's how I really feel today.
My name is Daniel Ross. Today is May 3rd, 2012.
Go through college and watch the internet come and all these different things, and now like Bitcoin, it's just a single technology built on top of the internet, but it's so fascinating because there's so many freaking things you can do with it. And it's also just a big experiment. There's no guarantees with it. We might just all be wasting our time exploring concepts and ideas. It's like at this crossroads of technology and philosophy and politics and everything. Just be a part of it. It's fun. It's crazy though, but it's fun.
First question is, what is Bitcoin?
I can't tell you what Bitcoin is in just a few sentences. It takes time to understand it, the same way it took people time to understand what the internet was, back in 1994.
That little mark with the A and then the ring around it?
At?
See, that's what I said. Kay said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh. Internet is that massive computer network. The one that's becoming really big now. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
When the internet was taking off, I was in college at Virginia Tech, studying computer science. Looking back, it's amazing to think about how much the world was changing.
Hey Dan, ready for the game? I'm just finishing up here with my new kayaking friends.
Kayaking friends on your computer?
Yeah, I just got America Online.
That same type of innovation is happening again, with Bitcoin.
It's the smartest people in the room that are the most excited about this. So what are they seeing?
The internet changed the way the world communicates. Bitcoin changes the way money works.
You can basically put a bank in your pocket.
Want to buy some secret stuff?
There is now a new note that people are starting to talk about, the Bitcoin.
The money of the future.
It is crazy to look back and see all that stuff, man. I mean, first of all, did you hear the date that he said in the beginning? Oh my God, can you imagine buying Bitcoin back then? They were buying coins at a time. Dozens and multiple coins. Again, guys, I don't buy Bitcoin to change it into cash. I buy Bitcoin for the future. You know what I mean? Because our dollars are getting inflated, and what happened in 2008 was just a precursor to what's going on right now. I believe what's going on now is going to make 2008 look like a picnic. I think this is going to be worse than the Great Depression. I really do. And I think Bitcoin is really, and silver together are really going to be needed. They're really going to be taken off. I truly believe that. But it's absolutely amazing watching this, man. My God, every time I look at this and see what these people have to go through, you know, because I was there when the internet was starting. I'm old enough to see the internet and then Amazon and now Bitcoin. And I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed to be part of this in an early stage. I really am. And that's why I'm trying to tell you guys, man, to take a real hard look at this.
Bitcoin was created to provide an alternative to the banking system.
We're in the midst of a serious financial crisis, and the federal government is responding with decisive action.
Unlike most currencies, Bitcoins are issued according to a set of fixed rules. The idea was to create money whose value couldn't be manipulated by a central authority.
The government, no matter how many guns they draw, cannot change a mathematical problem. They can point their guns at 2 + 2, but it's always going to equal 4.
It's fascinating to imagine what it means to have global, decentralized money. And that's what's happening.
Two things stick out for me. A lot of things stick out for me, but what mainly sticks out for me, it's a global asset. It's not just in America. And it's decentralized. And that's what I'm talking about. It is decentralized. It's not like these other coins that say they're decentralized. In order to be a decentralized asset, it can't be owned by anybody, right? Bitcoin is ran by the people. You got Ethereum and all these other things. And somebody asked me if I buy miners, you know, gold or silver miners. Absolutely not. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. If you want to do that, you do that. But again, that's not decentralized. Somebody owns that company. You're putting money into them, and they're deciding whether or not they do this or do that with the company or whatever. You know, I put my money in my own hands, man. I mean, I'm not saying I don't invest in any companies, because I have money into some companies. I do. Not stocks, but into some companies that pay me dividends. You know what I mean? I take some risks here and there, but I don't buy any. I don't have anything on paper. But to be truly decentralized, you have to be out of the centralized system. You can't be in the central bank. You can't be part of that. And all these other coins are like that. You know, anybody that tells you that XRP or another coin can be replaced, can replace cash, you know, in a monetary system and is better than Bitcoin. I mean, guys, there's only a finite amount of Bitcoin. There's not that many. You know what I mean? So, again, you'll see. Keep watching.
My 5-year-old's birthday. First round of burgers is ready. Second round's going on in a second. First round of burgers is ready. First round.
Dan's always been an idea guy. Bitcoin's the perfect combination of how can I change the world and make it better, but how can I also be a nerd? So mostly I've just been supporting him and this craziness.
Eliza and I met in college, and we've been married for 7 years. We live in Pittsburgh, where I'm from, and we have 3 boys. I've spent most of my career as a database administrator. But for the past 2 years, I've been consumed with Bitcoin. Bitcoins come into existence through a process called mining. I build computers to mine for Bitcoins.
I'm glad that it's finally getting a little bit cooler out. My wife won't be as angry that the basement is so hot. I still got a bunch of mining rigs running right now. Actually, they're right down here if you want to go take a look. Here they are.
Keep in mind, this is in the early days of Bitcoin. Mining is a big, big business now. There are people all over the world. China banned it. You can't mine in China. But Texas is the biggest. Texas is a free state. It's a red state, and it's a free state. You know what I mean? It's the biggest mining Bitcoin miner in the world. And they got some serious equipment. You know what I mean? It's a lot of competition. It's like winning the lottery trying to mine Bitcoin. But yeah, this is kind of a primitive setup because this is in the beginning of the mining in Bitcoin.
So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a revolutionary technology that enables a new way to send payments over the internet. You can think of it as an open accounting system where thousands of computers all over the world work together to track ownership of digital tokens called Bitcoins. When you send someone Bitcoins, the transaction is broadcast to the entire network. After it's verified, it's recorded in a public ledger called the blockchain. The blockchain contains a record of every Bitcoin transaction that has occurred since the system began, and it's shared and maintained on the network, so everyone keeps the books, so to speak. Most currencies are issued by a central authority that controls the money supply. Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer system, so there is no central authority. Instead, Bitcoins are issued to users who help process transactions in the network. This is known as Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin miners are specialized computers that do the work required to verify and record transactions in the blockchain. As a reward for their work, the miners earn Bitcoins, and this is how new Bitcoins are released into circulation. The system is programmed so that only 21 million Bitcoins will ever exist, and as time goes by, the mining reward decreases. The result is a predictable supply that's governed by scarcity, making Bitcoin somewhat like a digital gold. It's the first currency of the internet, and everyone is free to use it. With Bitcoin, you can send any amount of money to anyone, anywhere in the world, as easily as sending an email.
Oh my God, that gave me the chills, man. I mean, did you see the difference between the centralized banking and what Bitcoin can do? Again, I use my silver, Bitcoiners. I use my silver as a store of value and an investment for the future because it is a tangible asset. It's God's money, and it has a utility value to it. But Bitcoin to me is the future. I mean, it's just like I truly believe Bitcoin is going to do for money what the internet did for information. I really believe that. I mean, better technology always wins. It just does. When technology gets better, that wins. When the big screen TVs with the flat screens and the better color, crispy, colors, and the better computers and the better cars and the better, and this is better money. You know what I mean? The internet has gotten better, Amazon has gotten better, and Bitcoin only gets better. Man, I seeing that model thing that really gets me excited. So yeah, buckle up, guys. This is a very good documentary.
My brother Nick is a filmmaker. After hearing me talk about Bitcoin incessantly for months, we decided to start documenting things.
Hey, I don't think we'll need the small camera.
Can't hurt.
No, I'd rather just leave it behind. I have so much equipment. You mind?
Damn, you really cramped it up, huh?
Not that bad. What do you mean?
Jeez.
Dude, they're right there. They're right in the back right there.
I was convinced that Bitcoin was going to be huge, and I knew there were a lot of others like me out there.
Zip my keys in my pocket so I don't forget them later.
Bitcoin was by what's believed to be a pseudonym, a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto.
In
invented in '09 by a fictitious person named Satoshi Nakamoto.
On Halloween 2008, someone using the name Satoshi Nakamoto posted on a cryptography mailing list. I've been working on a new electronic cash system that's fully peer-to-peer with no trusted third party. The post contained a link to a white paper in which Satoshi proposed a new type of payment system for the internet. It described a protocol that used peer-to-peer networking, proof of work, and public key cryptography. For years, computer scientists had been experimenting with these technologies to create digital money. But Satoshi discovered a way to combine them that had never been done before. In doing so, he invented Bitcoin.
Along with the Constitution that I read every single day, I read the Bitcoin white paper every day now. Every day. It's a simple read, obviously. It's a lot shorter than the Constitution. The actual white paper, it's 9 pages technically, but the 9th page is like a reference page. You know, it's just got all the things they reference and stuff. But the 8 pages, really 8-page documents, breaks down how Bitcoin works, and it's just absolutely amazing, man. I love watching this, going through the history of it and how it started and stuff like that. It's like an immaculate conception for money. You know what I mean? I don't mean no any disrespect to anybody religious out there. I'm gonna show you a video of what I mean by that as far as immaculate reception of money and digital money. But it just can't be created again. It just can't, because all these other cryptocurrencies out here, the other 20,000 or whatever, they're all trying to do what Bitcoin did, but they just can't. They can't mimic it because it was the first time doing it. He didn't have a CEO. He disappeared. He doesn't make any money off it. He didn't get any venture capitalists to do it, and he didn't take a bunch of Bitcoin and hoard it and try to sell it. He just created it because he knew that the world needed it, and I love that about him. A lot like George Washington, man. He didn't want to be the king. He just wanted to do what was right for the people, and I respect that a lot.
There are no records of Nakamoto's existence prior to the creation of Bitcoin. On his profile page, he claimed to be a 34-year-old man living in Japan. Although Satoshi Nakamoto is a Japanese name, he wrote in perfect English when communicating online and went through great lengths to keep his identity unknown. Nonetheless, programmers and cryptographers all across the world recognized the brilliance of Satoshi's design and began collaborating with him to further develop Bitcoin. In October of 2009, the first exchange rate was published, listing the value of 1,309 Bitcoins at $1. Bitcoins were cheap, and through the following year, they continued to trade for fractions of a cent. In the spring of 2010, a Florida man named Laszlo decided to try using his Bitcoins to purchase something. He offered 10,000 Bitcoins to anyone who would buy him pizza. A man in London accepted and placed a long-distance phone call, ordering him 2 pizzas from Papa John's. This is generally acknowledged as the first Bitcoin transaction for a tangible good. Bitcoin was gaining momentum, but in order for it to thrive, the coins needed to be more widely accessible. A Tokyo-based exchange named Mt. Gox was the first on the scene to take hold of the marketplace, and trading volume started to pick up. By November 2010, already 4 million Bitcoins had been mined, and the exchange price briefly spiked to 50 cents per coin. The market awoke, and Bitcoin was starting to look like it might have real potential as a currency.
Oh, if I only had a time machine. 50 cents a Bitcoin. My God. Anyways, I truly believe 10, 15 years from now, they're going to be going, man, you could get Bitcoins for 20-something thousand. And I just believe if the dollar's still around, I don't know if it will be or not. I don't care. I measure my wealth in how many cans of food I have, how many days I can eat, how many gallons of water I have, how many gallons of gas, my medical supplies, Jimmy, how many Satoshis I have, and my ounces of silver. I don't care about the dollars. Now, the dollars I do care about now, short term, but fiat currency always goes back to its intrinsic value, and that's zero. It really does. So that's part 1 of 9. Thank you so much for watching this. It's called the rise and rise of Bitcoins. So I highly suggest you go watch it, but I want you guys to watch it with me too, so we can talk about it. So let me know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comment section below, and stay tuned for part 2. Thank you so much.